Hi, my name is Joanne Meekins, and I am an author, an editor, and a publisher who empowers my clients to tell their truth out loud, to share their stories, their lessons that they learned, and the action steps that they're taking authentically. However, before I got to where I am today, I lived the first half of my life in fear, insecurity, and I felt voiceless, valueless, and victimized. I had suppressed shameful emotions that centered around me being molested as a child, me being raped as a teenager, my first year in college, and then again when I was a young adult at 21. And I suffered in silence for 20 years. And I always considered other people's emotions and feelings at the expense of my own. My first rescue was going to church in 1981. I had started going to the Christian fellowship in college, and I started going to a church that became my first church home. And there I learned that I mattered and that I had a voice and that my vote counted. But I still avoided confrontations, and I was still living to please others and to assist others to fulfill their passions and do what they wanted to do at the expense of doing the things that I really wanted to do. And so I had been married and divorced by 1999, and I was feeling overwhelmed with life and starting over. I had always been more afraid of living, the unknown about my future than I had ever been about dying. Not that I was suicidal or anything, but I was just scared, just scared of life. And in 1999, I was in a motor vehicle accident, and that I ended up resigning from my a job I had worked at for like 13 years, and because they were like pressuring me to come back before I knew that I was physically ready. And I knew it was time to really move on. And so I resigned without a plan. And, that led me to my second rescue in 2003. I floundered around for a good while, though, didn't know what I was going to do. And, I went through, financial hardships and everything. And then in 2003, I accepted a position as a policies and procedures writer, which was my first paid writing job, doing something that I loved. It was like amazing. It was a corporate job, and I was scared, but I could not do it because the way it went about it happened, it just seemed so divine, and so I accepted it, and I stayed there for 7 years, and I developed confidence and structure and expertise as a writer, even though I had been writing for um, and helping other people with their writing for over 20 years. My first business was Express Yourself Creations, and I used to do customized, personalized poetry, and help people with their papers and letters and all kinds of things. My third rescue was in 2006 when I started attending Intervisions Institute for Spiritual Development, founded by Yana Vezan. And that's when I learned how to do the inner work. Because even though I had progressed and learned some things and had faith, there was still a lot of inner work that needed to be done. And so I learned how to do that work and to stop running, as I was a runner, and from life. And I started engaging in carefrontations because I used to avoid confrontations. And I learned the meaning of overwhelm, which was but thinking that I could do something that I didn't really believe that I can do, or trying to do something that I really did not believe that I can do, which created feelings of overwhelming anxiety in me. And then I also learned how to identify and complete incomplete cycles of action, which led me to writing and publishing my first book. It was a poetry book compiling like a lot of poems and stuff that I wrote for others, to help them express themselves. And so I put that on my incomplete cycle of action list. And then I took the steps, I set up the action steps to get it done. And then I got it done and I published my first book in 2008. And so another thing that I learned at Innovisions was that I was enough and my contribution to the world in my small space, whatever I was doing, was enough. My last major rescue was in 2014, and this was after I had resigned from my writing job and to pursue full-time ministry. And I didn't know what that was going to look like. I didn't know how I was going to sustain myself, but I just knew that it was time to make the move. And so I did. And I ended up facing eviction within like that first year. I went through my 401k, and it was rough. I took classes, I did an entrepreneurship certification and different things, and took coaching, learned how to be a destiny coach, and but I still was not out there, still was hiding behind the curtain. And so I eventually faced eviction, and I was doing mystery shops and trainings, and just straddling the fence until I decided to do an online surveys. And then I had to make a decision to either stop straddling the fence and believe God and what He called me to do and do that. And so I decided to do that. And I put 110% effort into doing for me, like I was doing for everybody else. And so, it made a difference. So I chose to believe God, and I put that effort in there. And then in 2014, and this was like, between 2010 and the end of 2013, because I got sick. And it was like a wake up call for me because I couldn't honor my commitment to work. And so I made a decision, and I did. So in 2014, in spite of my mom having a stroke in that February, I was still able to, because I became a caregiver. And so I was still able to publish my third book, which was How to Self Publish in Excellence. And I published it under my new imprint, Inspire for You Publications, which is my publishing company that I founded that year. And then I went on to do a 3-book series later on that year of living a vocal, valued, and victorious life. And that was in me sharing some of the experiences. And the first volume is, um, how to uncover and release painful life experiences, heal them and release them. I'm sorry. How to uncover, heal, and release painful life experiences. The second volume is how to press forward and shift to a higher level. And the third volume is how to know God better and love yourself more. And they, are a compilation of my experiences and how I overcame them and the tools and techniques that I use to do that. And I just learned that when you tell your truth out loud, you heal and transform, and you empower others to do the same. And so that was my goal in doing that. And then I was always also blessed to publish a book for a client as well that year. So I'm still on the journey of rescuing myself through the process, and also helping others to do the same thing. So I've learned that it's a process, but it's worth a journey worth taking. Thank you. Be blessed.